into our Glean and Zoom webinar. We're so excited to have you here today to talk about how we're going to be bringing fast and contextual answers into every conversation through Zoom and Glean partnering together. So, as we get started here today, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself and then I'm going to give it over to Josh to let him introduce himself as well. But we are so excited to have you here. My name is Jess Urich. I am a partner solutions engineer here with Glean. I get to come to you and talk to you all about how we're working together with Zoom and how we're going to bring contextual answers into your conversations, as well as how Glean plays a role in that. Josh, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, thank you, Jess. Josh Stanley. I'm a senior AI specialist at Zoom. Been here about 6.5 years, and I focus day in, day out, talking to customers, helping understand sort of their business use cases and how they look to AI to be able to solve and improve the way their employees, as well as their customers, communicate and connect and improve the way in which they collaborate.
Awesome. It's exciting to get to have you here with us, Josh, and I'm excited for this conversation we're about to have as well as the content we get to share. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how Glean brings this context into your Zoom conversations. But before we do, I want to talk about some of the things that we noticed or the challenges that we were trying to solve as we noticed these conversations were going on, we're using all these different tools, and what we found was there's the toggle tax, this switching between all of these different tools in order to do just one task. And what we saw was that in a study found that in Fortune 500 companies, employees are switching between apps over 1,200 times a day just to do their day-to-day work. It becomes less work and more like digital ping pong. Josh, I'm sure you've witnessed some of this in your conversations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the impact is every time we have that switching cost, we pay a tax, right? That tax is sort of reacquainting ourselves with the data, the information, the process, the flow, the way in which that particular technology works. And it slows down and really hampers the way in which we as individuals work, the way we work with our team, and then the way the business works as well.
Absolutely. That plays into the next point is what about our attention? Now, instead of being able to do one task, well, I have to go into a couple different tools. And, while I'm looking for information, maybe I get an email or a ping. And now, instead of being able to complete that original task, it takes me 23 minutes longer than it should have. And what we're finding is that on average in leadership, this compounds. So now leaders are actually spending hours of their time trying to find information that should be readily accessible. We're using all these different tools, bouncing back and forth, and our attention is being pulled in a ton of different directions. I'm sure that Zoom users encounter this daily as well, right, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about this transition happens and it keeps us at a surface level of our work. We're not able to arrive at that deep level of work that we do where we get our most creative ideas. We think externally outside the box and we're able to solve challenges more creatively. We're not getting to that depth, right? It becomes very surface level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's taking us longer and we're not finding the information that we need to move as fast. And then we bring AI into the conversation. And when we did a study here at Glean, we found that, organizations are having their employees use like 150 different generative AI tools today. And by the end of 2025, what we're really seeing is that number is going to double. The number of tools and that knowledge workers are going to have to interact with is going to go from 150 up to 356 different tools. And I don't know about you, but for most employees, we don't want another tool. We want to be able to get that information in those tools and resources that we're already using today, which leads us into the principle of work AI. The goal isn't for us to just have more output, to have more production from our teams. It's actually to help us through the workday, smooth out those rough edges of bouncing between all of those apps, and actually have us aim for this ability to use that generative and AI in a way that drives work forward. And that's exactly what we're aiming for with this Zoom and Glean partnership. So, to talk a little bit more about the Glean side, to to provide you that insight, Glean connects into 120 different data sources that organizations use. Think email, documents, think CRMs and code repositories. These are all tools that Glean can connect into and provide insight into because we build out our enterprise graph. This enterprise graph allows us to build out a deep understanding of the people, data, processes, tasks within an organization and personalize it to the users. We then use this deep understanding to power our Glean search so organizations can find documents and resources faster using AI. Our Glean assistant, so now every worker has its own personalized assistance that's secure and grounded in company knowledge, so I can ask questions and find answers better than ever before. And finally, the Glean agents. And that's what we're really going to focus on is the ability to have an agent inside of a platform like Zoom so that you can leverage Zoom's AI companion and Glean's AI functionalities all within that platform where you're already working there today. So now that we've seen a little bit of insight from the Glean side, I'd love to hand it over to Josh and get a better understanding of what this looks like from the Zoom side.
Yeah, in a very similar structure, we've built AI and AI companion across our entire workplace suite of products. So many people think of Zoom as a video company, and we certainly are, and became the video company during the pandemic and beyond. But in fact, actually, we offer a full suite of products that function well before the meeting as you plan, prepare, organize, strategize, brainstorm, as well after that meeting is over to execute and create accountability in those working groups. And AI is deeply embedded across that entire platform, right? And on the next slide, you'll see that we go a little bit deeper into whoops, one more. There you go. In terms of way in which we've evolved AI Companion, we launched a little over 2 years ago, very siloed based. It was one technology that worked within one product. And then last year with AI Companion 2.0, we expanded that and we began to start synthesizing data across the system. So now I can pull chats and emails and previous meetings all together, and I can glean better insights from those data points to be able to make decisions faster, right? Execute more efficiently, more effectively across the platform. And then now going forward, we just recently announced AI Companion 3.0, which is really evolving into more of that agentic AI evolution that Jess has already talked about as well. So I'm going to take you on a quick journey of what that looks like inside of the Zoom application. I want to show you again a little bit about the way in which we operate. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Might need some help, Jess, dropping that one. There you go. Thank you. So I'm going to walk you through the experience of what a user might experience inside of an AI companion experience. Now, I like to think of AI companion working for me, not just in the meeting. Of course, we're known for the meeting experience, but what happens before the meeting as we plan, prepare, brainstorm, and then after that meeting as we execute. So I'm going to show you a quick example. This is my desktop application of Paxton, my alter ego. And here you can see his schedule. I can see he has a meeting coming up shortly. By just simply clicking on AI companion, I can choose prepare for meeting. Now, what's happening here is the system's pulling data across the Zoom platform together. It's pulling previous meetings about this project. It's pulling chat messages about this project. It's pulling emails about this project. And it's taking all that data and synthesizing it in a very clean, very simple format so that I can get up to speed as quickly and as efficiently as possible. It gives me info about the meeting, the purpose of the meeting. That alone would be worth its value to deploy because if we all came to the meeting, we could save 5 to 7 minutes on average, they say. It gives us updates. So what changes have occurred recently that could affect everything downstream. So if we made a decision yesterday to change the way in which we're going to do training for our employees, and they didn't tell me, the training coordinator, everything I work on at that point is a waste of time, right? I want to make sure that I'm up to date on all the latest and greatest. These are open tasks. So imagine walking into a meeting with a pre-meeting brief like this every single time. But it doesn't end there. I can continue to dive deeper. So in this case, we're going to ask AI Companion to help us build out a training plan. And now we're going to walk you through all the benefits of Glean, but I want to show you an example of just simply attaching a document as context, and I can upload that And now I can use that information that it pulled from meetings and chats and emails and this attached document to be able to craft a more valuable output in order to be able to get something further down the line. The value comes though when I can start taking all of this great information that I surface through all of these different types of communications, and I can start pairing it with the power and the knowledge of the large language model. So here in this case, it's developed a four-phased approach. I can start asking AI, help me understand what are some of those blind spots, those things that I'm not considering that I should be thinking about. And this is what takes me from being a good employee to a great employee, or an average employee to being a good employee. And it allows me to be able to, again, improve and up level my own skills. So I can look through these, figure out which ones I want to, incorporate into our training plan that we're designing and presenting out later today. So really good example of preparing for the meeting. There's so much more I can show here, but let's hop into the meeting. So now we're in a live meeting. I have that AI companion running, and I have the ability to interact with it. So let's say, for example, I just want to find out what topics have been discussed so far. In this case, it's using the transcript of that meeting to provide me a summary of everything we've discussed to date in order to be able to get me up to speed. Particularly helpful if I come late to a meeting, or maybe I just was multitasking, stepped away for a moment. This allows me to be able to get a nice summary. And as you can see, it's building out those 5 phases that we reviewed on the previous page. Now, from here, though, I can start going a little bit deeper. So let's say I want to ask about what are some of the ideas that we shared that from each participant. And this is going to help me be able to use, again, that transcript that allows me to be able to extract what I want, when I want it, the way in which I want it. And that to me is the biggest value of AI, right? It allows me to be able to get what I want, when I want, the way I want it. So it gives me a really nice summary of all the ideas, particularly helpful if I'm a project manager and I want to incorporate all the feedback from the team. Now, where I love AI is when I can start pairing it with the power of the large language model as well as the information that I'm giving it as context. So in this case, I'm going to say, hey, go out to the web and find 2 companies that can help us do some training for retail employees and tell me why you selected them. So now I'm taking something that's out on the web that I could have minimized my meeting, reduced it down, and I could have lost focus on who I'm meeting with. Now, right there inside the meeting window, I can go out and do some research and get the ball rolling. So I don't have to wait until our update next week to give them an update on the 2 companies we're considering for external sales training. So now that meeting is over, we end that meeting. One of the things that I really like to incorporate is the use of creating accountability with the use of AI, right? So now I can come here, click on tasks, and inside of tasks, I get a recommended list of tasks after every meeting. Now, if you have ever been a part of a project meeting that recurs every single week, you know that oftentimes we talk about doing a lot of things that don't move forward. And then next week we meet again and we forgot we were even supposed to do those things. This is supposed to help us hold each other and ourselves accountable. So here I can see a list of all of the action items. These are tasks assigned to individuals that I can choose to create, remove, accept, decline. Once I accept them, they show up in my task list. Now, this is a very, very advanced task list, though. So, for example, if I click on the task here, I can see all this information that was extracted out of the meeting automatically. I can see that it was automatically assigned to tech support. I can click on the source of that meeting, open it up, go into those view details, and now I can start interacting with all of that summary. So this is the summary of the meeting. I can ask things like, what topics did we talk about in this meeting? And it begins to extract out insights. So this meeting is a month and a half old, right? So I can go back in time and surface what I want, when I want it, the way I want it, very simply by just asking and extracting out the insights. I can continue to dive deeper into that. So now this is where the LLM, the large language model, is going to make me better because I'm saying, hey, go out and find 2 possible risks that I'm not thinking about and help give me some mitigation strategies on how I can improve on those risks. So it's a good example of being able to use information before the meeting to prep, plan, prepare, strategize, and then bring that data into the meeting to be able to better connect, make decisions faster, more effectively. And then after that meeting is over, take those decisions and that accountability that we established in the meeting and get work done faster. Which leads us perfectly to the next slide is actually the introduction of Zoom Custom AI Companion. Now, one of the nice things about AI Companion is it's included for Zoom users at no additional cost. You can flip a switch, turn it on, start leveraging it. Custom AI Companion is an add-on feature that allows us to be able to customize and personalize the experience to be able to get more value out of AI. And one of the things that we deliver with custom AI Companion is third-party integrations. And this is what would be required in order to tie into all of that amazing value that you get from servicing data that's contained within Glean, which Jess is going to walk you through now.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh. I don't know about all of you, but I think the AI companion makes meetings so much easier. It's exciting to see how we're incorporating that in. And when you add that custom companion, we get to bring in the data that Glean provides. So what does that look like? Well, remember all of those data sources that Glean has access to? Well, now you can have access to that data while you're in your Zoom meetings. You're able to ask questions about customer accounts or support tickets or when was the last time someone updated this document. Now you can find that information while you're on a call, for example, or as you're preparing for those calls. These are very similar to kind of that same flow. How can I use my company's information and the insights that AI can provide me all within that Zoom UI? So let's take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and go right into Zoom. Now, just like Josh might have been preparing for his meeting, maybe I have a meeting coming up. I'm new to my organization and I have a meeting with a partner SE and I want to understand maybe what their role is. So I can come in here and we can see I have my AI companion open and ready to go. And where Josh might have just asked a question directly, I want to make sure I'm using my Glean data source so that I can connect into all of my company's enterprise data and that knowledge graph Glean supplies inside of Zoom using the AI companion. So under apps, I have a knowledge collection, that connection into Glean that we've created with that third party connection with the custom AI companion. I can select my Glean collection and I can ask it any kind of question like, who is Jess Urich? And what would you say her role at Glean is? Or let's change this to what would you say she does at Glean? And what it's going to do is it's going to start thinking about this information. So I'm going to be able to go into a meeting with a new person in my organization, maybe someone I've never met, and I'm going to get to understand what their day to day responsibilities are, maybe where they spend their time, so that I can walk into that meeting and better understand how I can support them, right? Now I can see that I'm an SE and my primary responsibilities are partner technical support, customer implementation, and partner enablement. So we can see that these are insights that I can then leverage to go into that meeting. Now, another example might be I'm about to go into my customer's call and I know they have a number of different support tickets open. Maybe I want to know what the latest is on those tickets. So, what I might ask is to my Glean collection, what are, or let's ask how many instead. How many open support tickets does Fraser Automotive have? And we'll ask the question. And now it's going to think about it. And you'll notice very similar to the regular AI companion, but we're pulling in customer information. Now, this is an example customer account. It's fake data, but I can see here that I have a Jira ticket open and it's about data analysis steps that aren't working. Well, if I wanted to actually go and look at that ticket, Glean has information cited for me here. So I don't have to go and search in another third party tool or bounce back and forth between those 150 different AI tools I'm already using. I have all the insight and information to answer questions or understand the types of issues they're facing right here inside of Zoom, so sourced and cited, So I know that the information is really grounded in my company and my company's understanding of Fraser Automotive. And so, one more example is, let's say I am having some issues as a technical person. Maybe I am in charge of configuring connections into Glean, or I'm talking to a new customer that has a custom data source that we want to add. I've asked questions about people, I've asked questions about customers, but what about a more technical question like, how can I configure a custom data source in Glean? I've never set one up before. Maybe I don't know how, and I need to get those insights. I'm on a call right now with my technical development team, and they're asking me these questions from the customer perspective. Well, now I have all of these steps through the admin console. Here's how I set up the data source. Here's how I set up the custom connector options. Here's for hosting the connector and configuring that. And again, I have all these great sources that help me understand and know exactly where to go to find more detail. So everything that I'm doing inside of the Zoom AI companion with Glean is going to be grounded in my company's knowledge and understanding. And it's going to give me that ability to use both Zoom's AI and my Glean information to move further and faster, whether it be preparing for a call, during a call, or after a call. So, with that, I'll just quickly wrap up by highlighting some of these functionalities, right? The Zoom and AI companion provides you guys with access to all of your enterprise knowledge in Zoom with real time answers. This allows us to reduce that context switching so we're not having to play that virtual game of application ping pong. We're able to stay aligned with our teams because the information that we have is accurate and up to date. From leveraging just the AI companion to track those tasks, or using Glean to understand who is in your organization, maybe who can help support you and understand the customer need or help you find information. And of course, drive faster decision making so that you can quickly and easily find information, whether it be to help move the business along faster, to provide you the insights that you need, or just to do those day to day tasks. The Zoom and Glean integration is here to provide you with real time answers and insights. So, with that, we'll open it up for any questions that anyone has. Josh and I are here to answer anything that you may have around the Zoom or Glean integrations.
I do see a good question that's in the Q&A. So we encourage you just to click on the Q&A button at the bottom and type those questions. But the first question is, what does the setup look like, both on the Glean side and the Zoom side? If you want to go first, I can tell the Zoom side should.
Yeah, so the Glean integration is very straightforward there. You set up that connection inside of Glean. You create a simple connection or agent into that Zoom AI companion. Now, I think the more configuration is actually on your side, Josh, with that custom integration into that AI companion.
Yeah. So inside of the uh, AI Studio, which is where you manage inside of Zoom, you manage custom AI companion. You would have an option to be able to enable third-party connections through what we call our marketplace. And you should, if you're a Zoom customer and you're an administrator, you should see an option for AI Studio on the bottom left-hand side in your admin portal. If you click on that, you can go into the marketplace, you can turn on Glean. And then once you turn it on at the account level, and this can be done at the account or at the group or even to the individual level, the user would see the Glean option available to them in the side panel, and they'll see the option to authorize. So they'll have to click that authorization, sign into their Glean account. Once they do that, it connects those two worlds together, and they're off to the races, right? So it's very simple on the Zoom side as well once it's been turned on.
Yeah, the key on the Glean side is just to make sure you have all those key enterprise sources connected into Glean so that we're able to provide you that context inside of Zoom.
That's a good question here around contextual AI and how Glean in Zoom connector can impact you and your team's productivity. I'd love to get your insight on that, Jess.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first impact we see is right. I'm able to move and find information faster than ever before, right within Zoom. So I'm not having to go back and forth between those tabs. So in my conversations or in customer conversations, right, what we're seeing is they're able to find information faster and answer those questions right away. So first of all, the follow up time, the time it's taking me to provide insights, whether it be internally or externally, is faster for those Zoom and Glean users. And then we see those productivity increases, right? I'm able to track and find information within Zoom so I can quickly go, okay, here are my open support tickets and tasks that I need to deal with based off of the conversations that I'm having with internal stakeholders and my external stakeholders. Just like Josh showed those tasks, we can kind of combine those two together to really help make sure projects and output is moving forward. I think those are two really big pieces that we see.
Yeah, I always love telling the story of the evolution of where we've come from in AI. Right when it first hit the scene a few years ago, the typical non AI technical person was all about prompt engineering. Right, how do I write the best, most elaborate prompt that gets the best possible output? And that works great in a generic setting, meaning I've trained a large language model on generic data and I'm looking for a generic output. And where we've seen the evolution is now context engineering. And to your question, I think it's a great one: is how can context AI or contextual AI improve the way in which we deliver outputs? Well, first and foremost, we can ground the output in company data. And as just simply by grounding it in company data, I can provide a far more useful, far more valuable output to the user. Imagine, right? And we didn't show this, right? We just talked a little bit about sort of doing it before a meeting, but imagine inside of a meeting, you're in a customer support case and you're meeting or on a phone call with Zoom phone. You're taking that real time transcript, and that is now context. It's attached to the prompt natively right inside of the side panel, inside the meeting or on a phone call. And I can now take that and attach that with whatever I want, pairing it with data from Glean to be able to pull those two together, structured and unstructured data, in order to generate the best possible output. So it's very exciting.
Absolutely. We always say context is king.
Yeah, that's right. I think the last question, probably at least the one we have right now, by all means, put more in if you have them, is probably more for you. The same or similar agents can be used available to other applications. So I'm assuming outside of Zoom, is there any restrictions, Jess, in terms of what you can and can't use Glean for?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we have a few different functionalities when it comes to agents. The Zoom one in particular is right that integration into the third party tool. But we also have Glean native agents, so you can use inside of Glean to set that up to automate workflows like sending emails, updating Salesforce, creating tickets. Or you can embed them into third party tools using web SDKs. So there's a variety of ways that you can use Glean agents, whether that's in the Glean UI, inside of maybe a proprietary tool, or even within those third party integrations like Zoom. So lots of different options for agents.
Yeah, and I see something in chat as well. So I think it's worth noting around ROI, delivering ROI, true value to the user and to the organization. Obviously, some ROI is easy to calculate, some is much more difficult. Jess, I'd be interested in your opinion, but we do have a dedicated ROI tool on zoom.com. You can go to select AI, and one of the options is I think it says creating value, an ROI calculator, and it allows you to be able to plug in some of these inefficiencies that you might see on a day in, day out basis. And generically, we'll generate a calculator, but we can get much more prescriptive in that in terms of being able to start diving into some of your manual workflows. We didn't get into some of like the more advanced agentic type automated, truly AI automation type flows that we can do as well. That's where you're really going to start seeing value when I can take those, those bottlenecks in your processes and start applying an automatic agent to those workloads to be able to streamline the way in which you connect. It's going to speed up business, but it's also going to improve the quality of those outputs as well.
Absolutely. And Baptiste shared in the chat as well a link out to a study Glean did around ROI. But really, I think the biggest piece that we found is when customers are using Glean, on average, they save about 110 hours per year just from the search and the generative AI capabilities. I can even say as a user, it allows me to work faster than I probably would have before. The ability to find information through search and Glean Assistant has allowed me to reach, more information, and we see that with our customers as well. Glean adoption, for example, is widely spread about 93% within about 2 years. So lots of value when it comes to adding Glean into the workspace.
Very good. I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for your time today, and we look forward to hearing some amazing stories about the Glean and Zoom use cases that you all come up with. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.